Yes, some more people joining. Hello, everybody, and welcome to WEDI's annual meeting of the membership. We, by our bylaws, we are, and our makeup, we are a membership organization, and we do hold an annual meeting. And the last couple of years, we switched over to virtual. We used to do this at the fall conference, and I think it's worked out well having this as a virtual standalone time for us to talk about the work that WEDI has accomplished over the last year, talk a little bit about what we're anticipating to do in the year to come, and just take a few minutes to really sit back and marvel at all the work that we've accomplished, and thank each other for all of your efforts and participation in the work that's been done. And so let's get started. We'll move to the next slide. So we'll just do a little bit of a welcome kickoff. You can see here, we'll run through, we'll show you who all the WEDI officers are, the board of directors. We'll introduce the WEDI staff, who most of you should already be very familiar with. We'll talk about our strategic planning, both over this last year and again going forward. We'll look at accomplishments from various committees, but various of the strategic pillars within WEDI. We'll take a quick look at WEDI's financials. We will do the fun part, which is announce the winners of WEDI's annual awards. And then we have some time at the end for some questions. If you would like to ask any questions throughout, just please type your question or your comment into the chat feature, and we will be looking at those as we go along. Let's go on to the next slide. So I just, again, wanted to say just a couple of words. Many of you know I've been chair now for the last 2 years, coming up on my final few days as chair. And it's been a really exciting, interesting learning experience. Some of you know that I have some leadership roles in other organizations, but this has been really a different experience and rewarding. I guess maybe that's the great word to say. It's an opportunity, and not just at the chair level. So I'll make this as a commercial for all of our work groups, any of the co-chair leadership positions. It's a really rewarding experience to get to work with so many people who share the same passion for healthcare, for efficiency in healthcare, for protecting privacy and security, confidentiality, for the efficiencies, gaining, reducing administrative burdens, just all of the work that we do. Everybody involved is very passionate about those topics, and it's just a great experience to work with so many people and from so many different organizations. You really do get a better insight, a better perspective on how different organizations, how different stakeholders are thinking about the different priorities within healthcare. So I, again, will be passing the chair baton over to Ed Hafner. He is our chair-elect. Jay Eisenstock, who has been our immediate past chair for the last 2 years, he will be stepping out of that role. I will be taking that over. And to make the announcement, we just did our officer elections on Monday for 2023, and Marilee Stein from CVS Aetna will be our incoming chair-elect. So congratulations to her. In terms of our officers for this past year, Matthew Albright has been serving as Membership and Communications Vice Chair, Bob Bowman, Vice Chair Policy, Pam Grise, Vice Chair of our Programs and Services, and Tom Myers as Vice Chair of Finance. And just to give you the rundown of our 2023 officers. Pam will be staying in her role as Vice Chair of Programs and Services. Bob Bowman is going to be moving into the Vice Chair of Finance. Matthew Albright's going to be moving into the role of Vice Chair of Policy. And Mike Hotmer from WPS will be stepping into the Vice Chair of Membership and Communications. So we have a little bit of a change up in terms of our officers, but also some good continuity in terms of expertise and their leadership. So let's move on to the next slide. These are the 2022 WEDI Board of Directors. You can go out to on the WEDI website at any time and see the updated list of our Board of Directors. We do have a couple of changes that will occur for 2023. Claire Hugholt-Crumnow from Elevance. Elevance is replacing their representative, and starting in 2023, or actually no, effective as of this past Monday, the representative for Elevance is Crystal Green. So we welcomed her. And then with our elections that just happened, we have 2 new board members. Sam Rubenstein from Montefiore Health System, their time on the board has ended, and LabCorp is now going to be a provider representative on the board, and Geisha Rosario Diaz from LabCorp will be representing, be the representative on the board. And then we have another new member to the board, Denny Brennan from Massachusetts, Charles, correct me, Massachusetts Health Data Consortium. Am I getting the title correct there? Well, Denny Brennan, and I'm sure many of you know him. So those will be our board of directors going forward for 2023. And again, just a big thank you to our board. There's just a lot of work that we rely on them to help us with in, guiding the organization, providing input and all the work that we do. And we just really appreciate not only the representatives who are the ones who are dedicating their time to this, but the organizations for allowing their employees to dedicate so much time to WEDI's work. So just a big thank you to our board members. Moving on to the next slide. We have our WEDI staff, of course. We really wouldn't be able to accomplish anything without our WEDI staff. It is a small staff, but very mighty. And again, I'm sure many of you know all of these folks, but just want to make sure that they get the due credit, because there is a lot of work that happens behind the scenes, and they really are the people who put everything together and make us all look so good. So thank you, and we'll move on to the next slide. So our WEDI strategic plan, and I'm going to turn us over to Ed.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. One of the things we did when we were establishing our plans back in 2021 was to make sure we didn't lose focus on some of the key pillars. We are a very unique organization made up of many stakeholders between providers, health plans, vendors, associations, government entities, and there's some very unique other organizations like HIEs and state organizations that make us pretty unique. You'll see the other pillars, of course, really, particularly 2 and 3, are really added value to all that, because we're able to bring us together, share our perspectives, do it in a very nice, safe setting, getting to know one another, getting some great contacts, also being able to share successful practices. So to me, 1 is the most critical pillar. We shouldn't lose sight of that. And the new NPA price process that you'll be hearing about, most likely down the presentation today from Rob, is something that really takes advantage of that. Of course, from an advisory role, That's a very important aspect of WEDI. We're a named advisor to Health and Human Services, and we're getting more and more active into all sorts of comment letters. Knowledge excellence between our work groups and our education, that's done through many mediums, like podcasts and webinars, and of course, as our conferences, and of course, sustainable growth is always an important pillar so that we remain financially stable. So that's kind of our basis for our strategies. Next slide, please. In 2021 and 2022, these are really pretty much the same strategic goals that we advanced over those 2 years. Our goals primarily was to improve our member retention and recruitment. Back in 2021, COVID hit. Many people were pulling back from association dues. And so we did have a little challenge with member retention back in 2021. We wanted to be able to provide more value to our membership organizations through more relevant topics. We certainly didn't want to lose sight of our privacy and security and administrative transactions that we had been focused on, but we wanted to be able to do more, and that would be in our education programs. Certainly find that in our work groups, and of course in our advisory role, and commenting on so many different regulations, and of course again sustaining viability in our financial statements. When reflecting back on 2022, you're going to see many slides that are going to support these. You'll find that our retention rates have significantly improved. We've created a variety of different kinds of educational events, and I have a little list. I have a little cheat list to remind myself to make sure to mention. We do things like advanced technology. We focus on machine learning, natural language processing, robotic process automation, blockchain, among many other technologies. Of course, the regulation activity, many of you have been involved in the No Surprises Act, and of course, the upcoming prior authorization, we'll all be jumping into that one. Many privacy and security type of rules have come down. So we're spreading ourselves across different relevant topics. Clinical exchange has been a very big focus for us, and we work closely with HL7 and some of their accelerator groups like Da Vinci, Karen, and we're getting into some more interactions with Gravity with our health equity work group. And speaking of the health equity work group, that's new with their focus on social determinants of health. We have been focusing also on value-based care models. It's an area we want to strengthen. Telehealth, and we also have done so much, from the education programs, and I think you'll see that coming down through the next slides. A big compliment to the WEDI staff. They're very, very strong group of people, very passionate, and I'm really pleased to have the ability to work with them. Our committees have been very engaged, as well as our work groups, and to all of you who have been able to participate in WEDI and sharing your thoughts and ideas. It's been a very successful journey. For 2023, next slide. We did something a bit different this year. In the past, we typically would set up goals to be established for the year. So in 2021, and we modified it a bit for 2022, we would set, this is what we want to accomplish for the year. But we challenged ourselves and said, what would we like to be when we grow up in 2025? So we created a compass direction of some of the areas that we wanted to kind of build our strategies to over the next 3 years. We wanted to be able to strengthen our convener roles internally so that we all can share our strengths together by convening WEDI membership, but also working with other associations and other types of organizations as well. Like I mentioned before, value-based care is a very important growth area in healthcare, and we wanted to be able to raise that eventually in 2025 to a leader level. We're finding with health equity, with interoperability and some of the clinical exchange and care management, we're finding patient-centric is at the core of all that. In fact, it's the core of many of the different items that we do. And so we wanted to be able to create that relevant focus area. We would continue like to evolve our topics that we cover, but we don't want to lose sight on what makes us really strong, our core areas. Getting it deeper into some of the administrative exchange. Many of you would have seen the attachments was just approved by OMB. So we should see a rule coming up there. So that should keep us all busy. The prior auth one is also going to involve a lot of us as well. So we're going to be delving deeper into a lot of the administration and privacy and security as well. But of course, we're not going to lose track of some of the cool newer areas that we've also focused on. Encourage you to be able to have your coworkers engage in WEDI to take advantage of this education. A lot of it's free, and it's free to membership, and so make sure that you're getting your members do best payback there. We also continue to grow our advisory role. You'll hear from Rob of what we're doing there. One of the things we heard from the conference is that we oftentimes talk about the problems, but what about the cool solutions that people are actually implementing? And so I think you'll see more and more educational content or organizations that have created some pretty cool solutions to address some problems and share that with the WEDI community. How do they, for example, automate prior authorization with machine learning and natural language processing? What's some of the very unique things they're doing with their EMR systems to be able to call out things for care management. You'll see more and more success stories being put out there, and hopefully you'll be able to share as well as learn from others. And then from a membership perspective, we want to focus on different niches and how do I say, brush up on our value propositions and look at some of the evolving types of healthcare organizations that are out there evolving over the next 3 years or so. So what we've done from we've certainly created the compass direction. We have created our 2023 strategies. We have created our 2023 tactics and the measurements for those 2023 tactics. The WEDI staff has had a crack of it and made some modifications themselves, which is really important to make sure everyone has buy-in, and we're going to go ahead and execute that. So that is our strategic planning, Nancy.
Thanks, Ed. So let's move on to the next slide. And I am going to turn over to Michael to talk about our education accomplishments.
Thank you, Nancy. Good afternoon, everyone. As Nancy mentioned, I'm Michael Mickenut, WEDI's Director of Education and Events. 2022 was another banner year for WEDI Education, as we produced 24 educational events in the calendar year, including 22 virtual events, 1 hybrid event, and 1 in-person event, our first in-person event since February of 2020. Our educational topics and themes, showcased on screen by the event graphics, represent the unique multidisciplinary needs of the healthcare IT community, from privacy and security and telehealth to standards and value-based care. For several years, WEDI has held 3 core events called our anchor events: May's Spring Conference, our Summer Forum, and our National Conference in the fall. Last year, we added a 4th anchor event, a winter showcase that is focused on data and technology-centric solutions to address health disparities in our country. This Health Equity Spotlight continues in 2023 as our first major event, taking place virtually February 15th and 16th. Registration is open and the agenda is available at wedi.org. The next slide highlights some of our more notable faculty members of 2022. These healthcare giants took the time out of their demanding schedules to offer their insight and expertise on a wide range of topics, be it regulations, standards, machine learning, cybersecurity, or health equity. WEDI continues our stellar reputation of bringing the brightest minds on stage, virtual or otherwise, to offer presentations that are idea-focused, foster learning, and provoke conversations that matter. Education cannot be created in a vacuum, and it takes a village of concerned, invested individuals to build content. WEDI encourages suggestions and recommendations on educational session topics, speakers, and podcast guests anytime. Please feel free to share your thoughts. Is your rockstar organization making strides in claims, emerging technology, telehealth, price transparency, or more? Let us know, and we'd be proud to shine a spotlight on them. 2022 education accomplishments by the numbers. As you can see, the sky's the limit on the amount of content we wish to deliver to you in 2023. 3,500 registrations over 2022, 63 YouTube subscribers, 2,100 video views, and 2,600 podcast downloads. In 2020, WEDI began its podcast, The Collective Voice of Health IT. This relaxed conversation with notable voices in the industry serves not only as an additional education arm for the association, but also offers a look at potential topics that WEDI may want to invest deeper in through our spotlights and conference sessions. Our podcast subjects and guests represent some of the most relevant and pertinent topics in the industry. Listen to past episodes and catch new ones coming soon through the Knowledge Center at wedi.org or search Collective Voice of Health IT wherever you listen to podcasts. And now allow me to hand it off to Bill Alder, our Associate Director for Membership and Business Development.
Thank you very much, Michael. Very well captured on our educational initiatives, and thank you for the warm welcome. Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here with you today, as always, and a pleasure to have you join us. As Michael had mentioned, or Nancy prior, I am the Associate Director of Membership and Business Development at WEDI here by role. I am actually engaging with our members on a regular basis and finding new folks to bring new perspectives to the WEDI community. As you can see by the names on the screen, this really represents all of WEDI's premium members and sponsors for 2022. Now, thank you to all of the organizations that you see here for their incredible support of WEDI and really helping to advance the delivery of care through improved data exchange practices. We could not do the good work that we do without the support that you all provide for us. When it comes to premium membership, for anyone who's not familiar with that program, there are really two options within it, one that's focused on event registration and one on event sponsorship. Premium members, for a small fee in addition to the standard membership dues, can gain access to things like all of the virtual events that WEDI hosts throughout the year, regardless of whether there's a cost to members or not. Things like our upcoming Health Equity Conference that Michael mentioned, as well as the Spring Conference and a virtual component there. So anyone that is interested to pursue something like that, for sure, give us a call. We'd be happy to engage with you further. On the event sponsorship side, we do offer additional sponsorships as a packaged deal on the front end of things, incorporated into the membership, aspects that really make sense to organizations that are trying to raise awareness for the good work that they're doing. And all these organizations you see before you are indeed doing some great work. It's really without the support of sponsors that we would not be able to provide the quality content that we do. WEDI events would not be nearly as successful as they currently are without their support. So thank you very much to all of our annual sponsors, our event sponsors, and the premium members that are listed on this page. Next slide, please. And to share with you some of the 2022 membership accomplishments, first I have to share, since the completion of our slide deck late last week, we've actually had another new member join, which is wonderful to let you all know about. So 14 has become 15 with the welcome addition of CareSource. Also, as you can see, we have maintained slightly higher than a 90% retention rate in 2022, which is above the association industry average, as documented by Marketing General Incorporated. If you're familiar with the association space, Marketing General does a lot of research across all different sectors. So this is a national average of all associations. So to exceed that threshold is certainly a great accomplishment for us within the WEDI team here. We look forward to our continued relationships with all of the organizations that are WEDI members, as well as the new folks that have come on board this year as we move into 2023. And if you or any of your team members ever have a question or unsure whom to reach out to, feel free to use me or any of the WEDI staff as your point person to connect with, because we are here to represent you, we're here to support you, and we're certainly happy to do so. Lastly, as you can see, there are a couple of quotes on the screen that we've captured from some of our members about what the value of WEDI is to them. And I won't read off all of them, but I will point you to my favorite, which is in the top right, the red bubble: networking and multi-stakeholder collaboration. The multi-stakeholder aspect is really important to us. And when I say we, I mean both the staff and everyone in leadership roles at our board level work really hard to ensure that all of those stakeholder groups are represented in all that we do. Ed rattled off some of the names. We have payers, providers, solution providers, SDOs, other associations from the healthcare industry, government agencies, and more, health information exchanges, you name it. We really bring all those perspectives to bear in the WEDI work that is performed. So we want to thank all of our members for their support in 2022. Thank you to our board leadership. Thank you to Charles Steller for his leadership of WEDI. And with that, Michael, I'll pass it back to you, sir.
And I think this is where I come in. Hi, this is Sam Holvey. I'm the Director of Work Groups and Communication here at WEDI. And I'd like to start off by thanking everybody that opens up our WEDI emails. I really appreciate it. And we do have our high engagement analytics list, and that is what I consider the nice list. And for those of you that are on it, I greatly appreciate you. We've added some new tools to the member suite for our members this year. The weekly is one of my favorite emails to put together every Monday morning. You get it at 11 a.m. and our board members let us know that we thought that was a fantastic time because you've had your coffee, you've made it through the emails that you got over the weekend or early morning. So 11 a.m. seems to be the sweet spot. And in the weekly emails, you can find a highlight section at the top that includes any upcoming events, especially that are coming up this week, the top 3 posts from our federal report that Rob Tennant puts together, and also any news items that are pertinent to you and to WEDI. Then further down in the email, you'll find our work group schedule for that week and the board committee meetings that are that week. And we included that because 1, our board members get the weekly, and 2, we wanted to encourage more transparency within the organization because we want all of you to feel like you can also become part of our board of directors. So please don't ever feel like you should hesitate to become a work group co-chair or part of our leadership on our board of directors. And I see Mike wants to play this short form video that we put together to use on LinkedIn.
I wanna be in the room where it happens, the room where it happens. I wanna be in the room where it happens. I wanna be in the room where it happens.
Thank you, Mike. And I hope you've all enjoyed that video. You're going to be seeing a lot more short form videos from WEDI because as you can see, WEDI Online is on TikTok. Now we know that a lot of our current audience probably is not on TikTok, but there's a whole new world out there, a ton of medical professionals and younger folks that we want to expose to the WEDI brand and let them know what they need to be aware of when it comes to their health information. This video is an example of one of the LinkedIn ads that we have done over the past year to really improve our engagement on LinkedIn as well as other social media platforms. And one of the things that I think our members should be most excited about is the search function in the Knowledge Center. WEDI's been around since 1991, and we have a ton of resources that are available on our website, and now it's much easier for y'all to find them. And if you have any questions or need help finding anything on our website or anything WEDI related at all, you know you can always reach out to me, and I'm happy to help. We've included a few of the analytics from 2022 here. You can browse them at your convenience, but I encourage you to read, like, share any of our posts that you see on social media. We have a lot of really fantastic members that are super engaging. Bob Bowman, just a little shout out to him. He is such a huge help on Twitter, and I really appreciate all of the shares and likes that we get to help spread the word about WEDI and all of the amazing things we're doing in the health IT industry. Next slide, please.
Where it happens, the room where it happens.
And I was looking for the work group slides, but we can also, I think, Rob, are you going to cover the 2022 collaborations that we've done?
Yes, and then I'll after I'm done, I'll turn it back over to you to talk about the work
Thanks,
groups.
Rob.
Yeah, Rob Tennant, VP for Federal Affairs, and it's my pleasure to take a few minutes to talk about our advocacy efforts over this past year. And you can see here a vast array of organizations that we have a strong collaborative relationship with. I'll highlight a few. The CMS Office of Burden Reduction and Informatics, as well as the National Standards Group. We have a very good working relationship with CMS, and it's been extremely helpful for us to have those lines of communication to be able to ask questions, but also to offer our assistance. And we've had that offer taken up on numerous occasions, and we expect that to continue in 2023. We have a good relationship with folks like NCVHS and NIST and the Office for Civil Rights. I'll talk about NCVHS a little bit later because they are a perfect use case for our advocacy efforts. On the private sector side, you can see here, we work closely with groups like CHIME and Civitas and the Electronic Health Record Association, HCEG, HLTH Health. We actually were invited to speak at their conference in Las Vegas about a month ago, which was very productive. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see that what we have tried to do is culminate our efforts in our letter writing. So whether it be a comment letter specific to request for information, a request for comment, a proposed rule, it's our opportunity to put together a formal response to a government outreach. As well, we've sent numerous advisory letters. I'll highlight one. We sent one last month on the No Surprises Act. We through the leadership of our No Surprises Act task group, we were able to put together a very comprehensive set of recommendations led by a call for extension on the delay on enforcement discretion for the convening provider requirement of the No Surprises Act. And just a few days ago, we heard from Secretary Becerra that they were indeed going to extend that discretionary period. We also got a very nice note back from HHS thanking us for our letter. So we believe we're making a difference. And I think one of the aspects of WEDI that differentiates our organization from many in healthcare is the fact that we have this collaborative nature. We're able to bring all of the major stakeholders together in one platform to talk about issues and come up with recommendations. So that gives us a unique perspective and frankly, unique power because we're able to talk as one voice. And I think the government in particular finds that particularly useful. I will point out one of our collaborations, the Think Before You Click campaign that we ran with CHIME was important because it was aimed specifically at patients. And as Ed alluded to earlier, that's going to be one of our focal points in 23 and beyond by trying to really understand and include the patient voice in the work that we do. I'll just point out, I won't go through all of the comment letters we submitted, but there were a lot of them this year. I expect there to be a lot more next year. And if you have time, you have some downtime over the holidays, certainly encourage you to read some of these. I am going to focus on one on the next slide, Michael, if you don't mind. So I will say, and Ed mentioned this as well, we are keeping an eye in particular on the attachments regulation. OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, has concluded their review, which is usually the last step before publication. So that rule could come out as early as this week or potentially next week, or if they're kind, they may wait till after the holidays. But it is imminent, so we'll be watching that very closely. We expect regulations on TEFCA. The modifications rule that was proposed from the Office for Civil Rights, we could see that come out in final form. And just a few weeks ago, OCR released a proposed rule on the Part 2 rules, which many of you know as the substance abuse issue. So we could see final rules on that as well. As always, the No Surprises Act is in flux, and we should see additional regulations there. In the world of guidance, we expect information blocking guidance coming from ONC, more on app security coming from HHS, and guidance on the good faith estimation and advanced explanation of benefits provisions of the No Surprises Act. A few things under discussion that we're keeping our eye on. ICD 11, it seemed just like yesterday that we implemented ICD 10, but NCHS has recommended that CMS begin to explore whether or not ICD 11 is appropriate for the United States. So that is underway. We continue to watch Congress to see if they will lift the prohibition on HHS working on a national patient identifier, and as well ONC, the Office of National Coordinator for Health IT, is looking to leverage their EHR certification program in other areas. So for example, they put out a request for information on applying the electronic prescribing and electronic attachments transactions into the certification program. And cybersecurity legislation is pending. There is a potential that we could see something included in an omnibus bill later this year. So we'll keep our eye on that. Next slide, please, Michael. And this one is really, the title says it all, that advocacy is a team sport. And I wanted to take just a second to walk through the process for just one of our comment letters. In fact, our most recent one that we'll be submitting, in fact, today to the National Committee on Vital and Health Statistics, just to tell you sort of the process we go through to create this type of comment letter. And it started with a conversation with both CMS, and I see our good friend Lorraine Du is on here, with Lorraine Du and the co-chairs of the NCVHS Standards Subcommittee, and talking about what information they needed to help them make the decision, because they had received the X12 and CAQH core proposals. So they were charged with reviewing those, holding hearings, and then making recommendations on whether or not to move forward. So we worked directly with them. We helped create a survey on both the X12 and the CAQH proposals. We got great feedback from our members on the survey, and that led us to the creation of, and Ed mentioned this earlier, a revised member position advisory event. So that was an opportunity to bring the industry together, our members who are interested in these issues, to talk about the key provisions. We included a number of additional polls, and it also allowed us to showcase, in particular, two of our work groups, our claims sub-work group and our remittance and payment sub-work group. And I just wanted to say thank you to the chairs of both of those sub-work groups, Beth Davis, Stanley Nachmanson, Chuck Ververka on the claim side, Pam Grose and Pat Wiechek on their remittance and payment sub-work group. So through their efforts, we were able to get a lot of good information. We put it together in a comment letter. We circulated that for comments from both the sub-work group and the board of directors. We received wonderful edits, including those from Nancy Spector, Dave Haugen, Mary Lee Stein, and others. And it gave us, I think, a product that really reflects the perspectives of the membership. So I just wanted to thank everybody, thank those that have been involved with the MPA process. And we are going to be deploying that, I think, several times, including probably in February for the prior authorization and interoperability proposed rule that just was released from CMS. So with that, I will turn it back to Samantha to talk about the work groups.
Thanks, Rob. So I've actually been leading the work groups here at WEDI since I started in 2012. And although some of the names have changed over time, we have incredible volunteers, and the heart of those volunteers has not changed at all. So our members come together to provide thoughtful leadership and common sense approaches. And I think the key here is common sense. A lot of times when things are written and lawyers go through them, and it's very different compared to how this practically needs to be applied. And that's where our folks come in and have really incredible discussions in our work group meetings, and then also creating very fantastic and helpful resource documents for the entire industry to use for free, I might add. Next slide. Some of those resources that have been published over the last year, we have the best practices for health plans that subcontract creation of the remittance advice. Our remittance advice and payment sub-work group is absolutely fantastic, one of our most active and largest sub-work groups. So if you have any questions or want to get involved there, please don't hesitate to reach out. We actually have the updated electronic principles, electronic payments guiding principles document that will be posted later today or sometime tomorrow. So keep your eye on that, and I'm sure you'll be getting an email from me about it as well. Some other products that we've done this year, the No Surprises Act survey done by our No Surprises Act task group, integrating telehealth data from the standalone platforms into EHRs. Telehealth work group is also working on another product already, and it's going to be featuring how telehealth and patients really come together, and how telehealth is specifically helping a lot of patients that otherwise wouldn't get the care that they so desperately need. So I'm really excited to begin working with the work group members on that exciting project. Our data issues in clinical genomics fact sheet is very helpful. And our, again, the electronic payments guiding principles, it's already had at least one new update this year, but the latest update will again hopefully be posted by tomorrow. Next slide. And of course, our work groups contribute to all of our meetings and events. These are just a few of the conference sessions that you may or may not have realized that those ideas started in our work groups, and our co-chairs were super helpful with developing those conference sessions. And we also had our WEDI work groups open house webinar. It's featured on our YouTube page. So if you want to, if you're new to WEDI, or if you're a member that just wants to get more involved, feel free to check it out. And we actually have hundreds of videos on our YouTube page that are free for anybody in the industry. If you know somebody that's just getting started, or even seasoned professionals, I encourage you to check out all of the videos. One of our most watched videos is our Remittance Advice and Payment 101 webinar that we did a couple years ago. So please make sure that you check out our YouTube channel, subscribe, share our videos. We really appreciate it as we're working to get our YouTube channel subscription numbers up. Really appreciate you sharing those videos, and let us know what you want to see more of. And we're happy to give you the recorded sessions and webinars and videos and education that you're looking for. We want to do everything we can to make your jobs easier. Next slide. And this year, we've actually started recording some of our work group meetings. So we had a fantastic meeting from the genomics work group with guest speaker on pharmacogenetics, transitioning to the cloud, and some more of the technology supporting care management. Our emerging technologies work group meeting that happens the third Thursday of every month from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. It is usually the one that we record each month, and post on YouTube. It's free for anybody to watch. And if you want to get involved in our emerging technologies work group, or you would like to be featured, you have some new emerging technology that you would like to talk about, please feel free to email me. I'll get you connected with the co-chairs and we can schedule you as one of our featured speakers. And the great thing about that is our work group members can really put you through the test. They ask a lot of in-depth questions because these are the people that are in the weeds every single day. So if you have an idea or a product that you want to make sure it gets well vetted by the industry, this is a fantastic place to do it. Next slide. And we have a ton of work already underway for 2023. If there's anything here that's of interest to you, please make sure you reach out and participate. And a lot of times people are really intimidated by joining our work groups. We're not going to put you on the spot. We're not going to ask you to write a paper. We just want your input, your thoughts, your opinions. You can contribute as much or as little as you like, or just show up to learn. That's what a lot of our folks do, and we're happy for it. So please, if there's anywhere that you want to get more involved, or if you know somebody in your organization that should be more involved with WEDI or would be a great contributor to any of our work groups, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, sholvey@wedi.org, and I will do everything I can to help you. And I think that's all for me. We can go to the next slide and make sure that I'm correct. And yes, now I can hand it over to our finance chair, Mr. Tom Myers.
The old forgot to take myself off mute button. Sorry about that. WEDI is projected to end 2022 with an $82,000 contribution to reserves. During 2022, membership continues to support WEDI by renewing at 91%, which is a terrific rate, and we appreciate all of you staying with us and providing your insight and guidance. And it says here almost 17 new members. I think you heard Bill state just a few minutes ago, we actually have 15 and we've got 2 weeks to go. So you never know, 17 could be the number. Educational events, as you heard earlier, increased to 24. Tremendous content, excellent registrations at those events. It's been a very successful year with educational programming. You heard a lot about that earlier, so I won't hash a lot of that. Total revenues are projected to end the year at slightly under budget, with strong membership renewals and sponsorship income. Rolling forecast projects an estimated 130,000 net income from operations this year. And I think there's one more slide here. This just gives you a snapshot of the WEDI financials overall. As you can see, revenue and expenses, our revenue continues to outpace expenses, which is always a good indicator. And our revenue comes from you for the most part. Membership membership dues accounts for 70% of our income, and then non-dues revenue comes from sponsorships and conference and webinar registration revenues. So again, WEDI's financials are very healthy. The entire staff at WEDI does a tremendous job in managing our resources carefully. Charles has done a tremendous job leading the organization again this year, and we appreciate all his work along with the rest of the WEDI staff and board leadership members. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. And so now we get to move into the fun part of our agenda, which is to announce our 2022 award winners. And as many of you know, Louis Sullivan was Secretary of HHS when WEDI got its start. And so we have an award in his name that's been given out, I think, consistently since WEDI formed, and we're happy this year to award this to Mary Green with CMS's Office of Burden Reduction and Health Informatics. Moving on. Our next is our Andrew Meltzer Award, our Leadership and Volunteerism, goes to Beth Davis with Allscripts. And really, Beth has just jumped in so many different ways. She, I know, became co-chair of the claims sub-work group several years ago now. And then she is also co-chairing the data exchange work group. She really started jumping into the No Surprises Act and understanding what was going on with the regulations and the requirements there, and volunteered then to be one of the co-chairs of our No Surprises Act task group. And she's not doing this alone. She does have a lot of great co-chairs with her, but we just really wanted to call her out and really thank her for everything that she's been doing, all the different hats, roles that she's been wearing at WEDI. And just again, thank you, Beth, for all that you've been doing. Next up is our Distinguished Service Award, which we renamed a couple of years ago, the Steve Lazarus Award. Again, this recognizes an individual who has gone above and beyond in terms of dedicating their time and effort to WEDI. And this year, that award is going to Bob Bowman with CAQH Core. So we greatly appreciate all of his work as a board member. And then the last 2 years, he's been vice chair of policy, which means he's been chairing our policy committee and co-chairing our nominating committee, just participating in several different leadership roles. So thank you, Bob, for everything you've been doing. Our next award is our Excellent in Service Award. And this one we can award multiple recipients. And so this year it's going to Jill Dominic with Elevance Health. And Jill is a co-chair of our telehealth work group. And she's another one who's been relatively new to WEDI, but has jumped right in and has been really providing her expertise in that work group and education that work group has been providing. Don Quackenbush from Cognizant. Again, just another individual who's jumped in and has been very helpful and very involved in the work that WEDI's been doing. Sherry Holmes Henry from Next Gen Healthcare. Again, co-chairing our emerging technology subwork group that Sam just talked about and serving on the board. Susan Langford is another longtime WEDI participant, and again, a participant in several different work groups and contributor. Just really appreciate the work she's doing. Stanley Nachumson is one of those co-chairs that Beth has been working with. He co-chairs Claims Sub Work Group, co-chair of the No Surprises Act Task Group, and frequent contributor to WEDI's education. Ed Hafner from Change Healthcare, who you know as our chair-elect in a couple of days, soon to be our chair. And Chuck Braverka, who again is another co-chair along with Stanley and Beth of the Claims Subwork Group. And again, just a very active participant in the work going on with claims, remit, No Surprises Act. So we just really want to thank all of you for your time that you have put into WEDI's work. Let's move on to the next slide. And then as chair, I get to award awards. And this year, those award winners are Terry Cunningham from the American Hospital Association. Again, he's another one who's gotten very active with our No Surprises Act work. very active with the board, contributing in a variety of different ways with the work of the board, and Mike Kotmer from WPS, who is relatively new on the board, but jumped right into co-chairing our membership committee and has now this year volunteered or put himself forward, I should say, as vice chair for our membership and communications. So just really, again, appreciate their enthusiasm for WEDI and the work that we're doing. So next slide. That brings us to the end of our prepared, summary, our prepared review of the work that WEDI's been doing over the last year. If anybody has any questions or any comments, anything that you would like to bring up, you're welcome to type into the chat box and we will be happy to facilitate those questions or comments. Give you a couple minutes. Charles, do you want to say any words here in our closing minutes? Can you get yourself off of mute? Okay, well, I'm not seeing anything coming up in the chat box. Michael, I'm not missing anything, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I think Charles is having a problem getting off of mute. Well, at this point, we could move to the next slide. And just once again, give everybody a big thank you and really wish everybody happy holidays, happy new year. Take time to spend with family and friends and really just enjoy some downtime. So everybody's refreshed and ready to go and hit the ground running in January. Thank you, everybody.